Good morning, Rotary Club of Centennial. Would you please take a moment and silence your cell phones for me? Yeah. Dr. Mark is going to inspire us this morning.
In a 30-day period, I had the great fortune to not only go to the play Hamilton, but also to tour Thomas Jefferson's home, Monticello. As you might know, the two, Hamilton and Jefferson, were mortal enemies. They didn't like each other, and they disagreed on almost everything, including the Constitution, slavery, whether or not to support the King of France during that country's revolution, and how best to pay off the enormous war debt that our country accrued. When you go to Monticello, it's everything you imagine it to be. It is this mystical, magical mansion dripping and filled with all Jefferson's ideas, experiments, and inventions. He invented this double door. You open and close one door, and the other door would automatically open and close with it. He invented a clock that not only told time, but also told what day of the week it was, which was unprecedented at its time. He invented closets that swivel as if they were on Lazy Susie's. He invented the dumbwaiter. Meals would be prepared in his kitchen below his house, trundled through a tunnel, and then jetted up to be served smoking hot at the comfort of his dining room. But I think the most impressive invention he ever had was what he called the polygraph. And you can see it here. There are two pens. He would use his beautiful flowing handwriting with one, and the other one would make an exact original at the exact same time. And this was primarily responsible for why many of his writings survived to today. The tour guide was so proud. You could see it in his face and in his voice. And why wouldn't he be? Thomas Jefferson was the author of the Declaration of Independence. He was the purchaser of the Louisiana Purchase and the commissioner of Lewis and Clark. He was our first Secretary of State, our second Vice President, and our third President. He was the founder and designer of the University of Virginia. But towards the end of this tour, I could see that pride disappearing and sorrow begin to fill his persona. And he said, "That concludes this tour. The next tour is down the hill. It is the slave tour." And he walked away, and with him walked away much of Jefferson's luster. For you see, we took that slave tour, and the tour guide said to us, "I know what you just heard up the hill. And if that's how you want your memory of Thomas Jefferson to be, you better leave right now, because I'm about to tell you the other side of Thomas Jefferson." You see, Thomas Jefferson had henchmen. They were slave managers who wore whips and truncheons, and when slaves misbehaved or didn't fulfill their quota, they would be beaten and punished. He talked about this teenage boy who worked in the nail factory. And he used teenage boys in the nail factory because they're the only ones who had the strength and the ability to sustain a 16-hour day in 100-degree heat to fulfill a quota of 1,000 nails a day. And this one young man could not fulfill his quota. He was exhausted, and they dragged him into the middle of the slave community, and they beat him. And then in the middle of the night, they would take him, and they sold him to a plantation far away, never to be seen or heard from by his parents again. Oh, Thomas, what have you done? It's almost as if this polygraph actually did become a lie detector. With one pen, he wrote to create a more perfect union, but with the other pen, he wrote, but we can enslave people and punish them. With one pen, he wrote about how we all have inalienable rights, but in the other hand, we can have sex with our female slaves, impregnate them, and thereby enslave our own children. one hand, he writes about how all men are created equal, and at the other pen, he writes, "Upon my death, do not free my slaves like Washington did, but instead pay off my enormous debt by putting them on an auction block, and separating children from their parents." I don't know what to make of this roller coaster ride that is Thomas Jefferson. And just like a roller coaster ride at the end of this tour, I felt nauseous and lightheaded. But I will tell you this. In December, during our auction, we are going to have, of course, an auction block of ourselves, but this time, Thomas Jefferson will be on the auction block, as well as Alexander Hamilton. And Thomas Jefferson, of course, owned 600 slaves during his lifetime. And if you bid on him, well, I will not challenge you, but if you bid on him, Alexander Hamilton, who never had a slave and was the leader of the abolition movement, you had better bring your wallet, because I plan on taking him home. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. Eunice, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Please join me as I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Shattuck, would you share the Rotary Minute with us, please?
Thank you, John. I want to talk about the Rotary wheel emblem. A wheel has been the symbol of Rotary since our earliest days. The first design was made by Chicago Rotarian Montecule Bear, an engraver who drew a simple wagon wheel with a few lines to show dust and motion. Unfortunately, he had the dust in front and behind the wheel. We didn't know what direction the wheel was going. The wheel was said to illustrate civilization and movement. Most of the early clubs had some form of wagon wheel on their publications and letterheads. In 1922, it was decided that all Rotary clubs should adopt a single design as the exclusive emblem of Rotarians. Thus, in 1923, the present gear wheel with 24 cogs and 6 spokes was adopted by Rotary International. The backstory on that is when they originally came up with the cog wheel, each cog was a perfect rectangle. You can't get a rectangle to mesh with a rectangle as the gear is going around. So you will notice that the cogs are tapered. The engineers got involved in it. Then the engineers got involved and said, hey, you need a notch in the center so that you can put a key in so that the cog can be attached to the shaft. Hence, you have the key in the wheel. And what I like to say, we are the key to Rotary. Thank you.
Very nice. And thank you, Mr. Shattuck, for that engineering lesson this morning. Much appreciated. I'd like to thank especially Mr. Peterson for coming in this morning to set up. He's a little under the weather, and yet he wanted to make sure that we had microphones and everything today. So thank you very much. Phil, thanks also for setting up. And John Wexler is going to be doing takedown a little bit later. You were all greeted expertly by Diana Hwai today. Diana, thank you very much. Mark, thank you for that inspiration. And Tim, thanks for leading us in the pledge. We've got a lot of visitors and visiting Rotarians today, so we're going to kind of go through, for all the visitors who are going to be involved later, we're going to do quick introductions, and then we'll get to you later on in the program. First, a visiting Rotarian, a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. One of our former presidents, Randy Poe. Stand up, say hi. we're not going to let him talk yet because it would go on and on and on. We'll hold him back just a little bit.
I don't think I can beat Mark.
There is some truth to that, definitely. And then Judy Beggs is a visiting Rotarian. She's going to have some information for us a little later. She's over there. And then we've got a bunch of guests. Some I'm going to have Ken introduce, since you didn't give me a list of who they were. I don't know who they are. So our student of the month is here today, Sophia, and I'm going to try her last name, Hauregi. Hauregi? All right, pretty good. But that's not how it's spelled. So Sophia, just stand up real quick and give a wave. And then her parents, Elizabeth and Roman, are here. Thank you very much for coming. And then Carmen is here as well. School counselor for Arapahoe High School. Are you happy with that? Good. Mr. Hope, would you introduce our guests that we're going to be acknowledging here in a little bit?
Would you like me to, let's see here. Jose Ortiz, stand up and introduce. I'll introduce you. Jose runs a show at Arapahoe Library District. Notwithstanding what Jessica tells us, Jose's here. We have two representatives from the Sheriff's Department, Dennis Gamble, is that correct? Darren, sorry, all right. And Mark is here on behalf of Dave Walcher from the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department. And where is Mr. French? Now, French is here on behalf of Colorado Storage Systems, and all of these folks assisted us in our Christmas tree giveaway.
Wonderful. We'll be bringing them to the forefront here in a little bit.
We've got one more that snuck in, I think, without saying hello. Jessica's from the Aurora YMCA district. Jessica, you want to introduce yourself? She's a visiting Rotarian.
Wonderful.
Yes, I'm here from Aurora. Some of you may know my supervisor, Kimberly Armitage. She's with the Aurora Rotary. But I run community programs out of the Aurora branch, mainly with youth and teens. So yeah, I'm just here trying to, see kind of what the club's all about. And, hopefully I can join and, become a part of this great organization.
There you go.
You see what table I'm sitting at, right?
We do have a couple of misfits and ne'er-do-wells here today, so keep that in mind as we go through this. Well, I would promise you best behavior, but I know better at this
I came over
point.
here because Don was on his 11th case of polio.
Just to clarify, Jessica is not yet a Rotarian. So she's coming to scope out Rotary and our club.
All right. Well, you're at a fairly well-behaved table, so that'll kind of help a little bit. But thank you so much for visiting, and I'm sure you will hear from Tripp in the very near future. No birthdays this week, interestingly enough, unless we miss any. Does anybody have a birthday or a spouse birthday this week that we don't have logged? Well, Mark Paller is no longer with us, so.
So she's dead to us.
Ow! Forget my comment about the well-behaved part at that table.
Forgot her birthday.
Yeah, and no wedding anniversaries either this week. So, with that, Samantha Johnston, would you like to do our Student of the Month presentation?
All right, so some of you know that Samantha Rowe is normally the one that does the Student of the Month. However, she is traveling for her work, so she's like, hey, there's another Samantha. She could probably stand in for me. So I decided, okay, no problem. And, she told me that this was supposed to happen on the 14th, and now it's the 8th. So I'm about as ready as anyone else who doesn't know what they're doing. So, thanks. But I am very pleased. I just met Sophia Hauregi, right? Hauregi? Close enough. Okay. And she is just a phenomenal woman, and I am really excited to see where she is going. She has just been accepted to Johns Hopkins University. She is a senior right now, so she's graduating in about a week and a half or so. and she will be starting Johns Hopkins right before Labor Day. So it's going to be an exciting summer because it's her last summer of freedom, right? And I'm sure for her parents too, it's going to be an exciting time for them just to bond over the summer and have that good time. When I was reading all of the information that came across to me from Samantha and Carmen, one thing that I really was impressed with is that over the course of Sophia's high school years, she has torn her ACL twice, and she's been able to recover. And not just that, but she learned from the first time that she was recovering that she didn't do it so well. She kind of was in her own little hermit mode during the first recovery period. And she realized that the second time around, she needed to surround herself with people to really help her recover even better. And because of that, I think she's probably a better person. She's able to understand people a little bit more, and just to realize that when we're in need and in trouble, it's okay to have that support. And so that's something that's so important to learn from a young age. And even though I'm sure that process was very painful, it's something that I hope will go with you through the rest of your life. One of the things that this recommendation that I have in my hand is from Katie Zimmerman, from Littleton Public Schools. Okay. Explained right there. But one of the things that Katie said about Sophia is, one of my favorite things about Sophia is how passionate she is about serving others in her generosity. She is truly a caretaker and will thrive in the medical and helping profession. So Sophia is looking at being a pediatric physician assistant. And so with her generosity and her compassion, I'm sure she will make a fabulous physician's assistant. And we look forward to seeing where you go from there. So I'd like to introduce Sophia Halrier up, and to thank those that are here supporting her, her father Roman and her mother Elizabeth, and of course Carmen is here representing Arapahoe High School. So please come up, and if you want to share something, that would be great. Or if you have questions, and of course, being as unprepared as I am, the award, I think, is still in the closet. A club of grace. So I will get that afterwards, and we'll take pictures. But
Hi, I'm Sophia. I guess I just want to say thank you to my parents, because they've just been really amazing, kind of fundamental in shaping me and who I am. I've had my mom, who's a social worker, so kind of that compassion, all that sort of stuff, kind of teaching me to be a really good person. And then my dad as well, who's just always been there, really supportive, just been a rock and kind of just doing that sort of stuff. I don't know. I'm really honored to be here today. I appreciate it.
what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to finding a new community, because I love all the people that I have here in Centennial, but you know, sometimes it's just a really small place and I seem to know everyone. And so I'm excited to kind of meet new people, expand my horizons. I'd love to travel abroad, do that sort of stuff. So.
Yes, Carmen, go right ahead. Just grab the microphone right out of her hand.
Good morning. I just wanted to say thank you for having me here all year, and to bring Arapahoe High School students and have them honored. It's really been a pleasure to be a part of this meeting once a month, and you know, just to introduce our students. This is my first year at Arapahoe High School, and it's been absolutely great. It's just when I changed careers late in life, and when I went back to school to do my master's in school counseling, and what I envisioned a school counseling job would be, it has really been that this year for me at Arapahoe. And the students that I've been able to to present and bring. I mean, that's just a bonus of the job. A lot of wonderful, wonderful students, and I thought it was time for me to share with my other coworkers and not just bring all my students in my alphabet that I feel are absolutely wonderful. Little selfish that way, I guess, but because there are truly, truly a lot of great students there, and Sophia is just another one, you know, that to add to that list. And when I was asking, you know, my other coworkers for someone, you know, that they would like to honor, Sophia just jumped. Her name was, you know, just first from several people, and just kind of like Samantha said, everyone just talked about how great she is, and, you know, she's just so nice and just a wonderful person, and, you know, just so many compliments. So thank you again, and I can't wait to start all over next school year in August. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. So when Tripp ran back to find the plaque, he didn't find the plaque. He found a plaque, which we will use for the photo op, but she definitely does not look like Peta Blonsey. So we're just going to do a quick photo op, then we'll find the right plaque. So come on in the middle. Congratulations. Good luck. All right. We'll find the right plaque. All right. The look on Tripp's face when he came up, it's not the right plaque. It's the photo op. Mr. Pote, would you share with us? Very nicely done. Mr. Pote, talk to us a little bit about the Rose Parade float, which you are so passionate about.
Well, let me tell you that the Rotary Rose Parade Float Committee has put a float in the Tournament of Roses Parade for 39 consecutive years. I had wanted to do it before. This is a picture of last year's award-winning float. And just Mary and I never got around to it. And so after she died and I went back to Vegas, I did it the next year. And I put that first piece of plant material on the float. And I said, I'm never, ever going to not do this again. And then the next day, this 6-foot blonde woman walks through. And I'm like, who is that? Well, long story short, she had been on the committee for years. We got engaged. We got married at a Zone Institute in Hawaii. And so the float and being on the float committee is very, very important. The float's paid for by Rotarians, by clubs and districts and individuals. Rotary International can't support just one float, or they'd have to pay for the Boise Potato Bowl and the London Parade and all that. So this club's been generous in the past. So as the past president from 2010-11, I would ask you to see if donating to the float committee would work again this year. And then I just want real quickly, I will be quick. Well, no, for those of you that are new in Rotary, past district governors are always accused of once they get a microphone, they don't let it go. I joked about Mark this morning. The 2010-11 Rotary year for the Centennial Rotary Club was a banner year, not because of my leadership by any stretch of the imagination, but Mark had come to me the year before and said, I'd like to be the membership chair. And for the first time ever with a membership chair, I actually went out and we actually developed a plan. And we actually had a budget. And that year, for the first time since I joined Rotary in 1993, any club that I had been involved with inducted a minimum of a member a month. And it was because of your hard work and understanding the value of membership. So a lot of you people don't know that, and now you do. So anyway, I love being back here. I'll be back here on the 30th of June for some crazy-ass reason. And, but I'm back now. My dad lives in town, and he's transitioning from private home into assisted living, and my siblings screwed it up. So I, being the oldest, came back to fix it. So it's nice being here.
Randy, thank you. Mr. Hope, would you like to acknowledge our guests with what you have planned.
As you know, this past year was our inaugural Christmas tree giveaway project, and we were kind of starting from scratch, and we had a great committee, and we really didn't know exactly what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, how many trees we needed, who we're going to reach out to, whether or not we're going to have real trees, artificial trees, what kind of ornaments. So we were just kind of starting from a blank slate, and so we were kind of figuring out what we're trying to do here. And so we decided initially that we would try to get some real trees. And I reached out to the big toolbox, Highlands Nursery. My apologies for scheduling this. I didn't realize when I scheduled today that it was going to be the week before Mother's Day. And all the nurseries who helped us are slammed with business. So the 3 donors who were supposed to be here today receive their plaques are not here. However, I reached out to the big toolbox. He was the first person I spoke with down there. And they agreed right away to donate Christmas trees, and they did that. And then towards the end, we needed some transportation. We hadn't thought about that. And so Big Toolbox loaned us their box truck for the event. And after that, they also loaned us the box truck for our flower power. So they are heavily invested in our project, and they will be doing this coming year. So shout out to Highlands True Value and the Big Toolbox. We have a plaque for them, and I will deliver that to them. Our second donor was a result of Jeannie Henshin reaching out to O'Toole's. Likewise, they gave us a number of live trees, and they are on board for next year. Unfortunately, they are slammed as well today. And so I will give them a plaque as well, acknowledging their participation in our event. The third one was as a result of what's the neighborhood website we reach out to? What is it called? Next Door. So we put kind of an APB out for whatever anybody could have. We needed ornaments, trees, whatever. And a gentleman from a small little company reached out to us, and he lives over by Newton. And so happens that he was the manager of Home Depot in Inglewood. And he partnered with the Home Depot in the one out here, and they contributed 50 trees to our project. They are not here as well. They will give them a plaque. Now the third, or the fourth one is Al. Why don't you come up, Al? Al Franchi with Colorado Storage Systems. And as we got into this particular project, we realized that we didn't have any place to store these trees or the ornaments. And we're kind of scrambling around. And Al Jackson, where's Al? Al Jackson's dad works for Colorado Storage Systems. And so they were nice enough to donate a 50-foot storage container, and we would have been really in trouble without their help on this. So, Al, on behalf of the Rotary Club, I'd like to present you with a plaque. It says Colorado Storage Systems in special recognition of your contribution 2017 Christmas tree giveaway. You have helped brighten the holiday for many families. The Rotary Club of Centennial. Thank you, Al. Appreciate it.
Al, thank you. Appreciate it.
And another member, Jessica, would you like to come up? And where's Jose? Jessica Seidner and Jose Ortiz with the Arapahoe Library District. Jessica was on the committee, and she suggested that maybe the library could kind of help, you know? And so she delegated the duty of helping our project to Jose, who's this tough guy from Jersey, right? Bronx, excuse me. Little baseball player, and he's back. Anyway, Jose's just a hell of a guy, and he coordinated getting the storage container from Colorado Storage Systems. He actually came on the day of putting the packages together. Not only did he open the doors for us, but he helped put the stuff in the boxes. So, Jose, you've been great help on this, and Jessica, you're a dear. We also worked in some literacy, too, on the on our project. We won't tell them that you lost your stuff, and then we misplaced our stuff. Right, you did. So, on behalf of the Centennial Rotary Club, we'd like to present you a plaque as well. Arapahoe Library District, in special recognition of your contribution to the 2017 Christmas tree giveaway, you have helped brighten the holiday for many families, the Rotary Club of Centennial. So, thank you both. Are you on board for next year?
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Jose is. Put the pressure on right here. Okay. I'll give this to Jose. Jose, you're the man, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much.
Last but not least, we need the law enforcement guys up here. I think Mark is filling in for Sheriff Dave, is that correct? Correct. And Sergeant Gamble. When we started this project, Dave Walter was not on the committee, but I'll tell you what, he reached out to the committee and said, whatever you guys need, just let me know. And so he right away assigned it to Sergeant Gamble, who actually prepared a traffic flow plan for our event. I get emails, and we have arrows and everything going around the parking lot. And so we worked with him as well. And then you also, during the day of the event, you got, 4 explorers, 3 or 4 explorers to help us. Dave himself allowed us to use his 30-foot trailer, and we would have been in trouble without Dave's trailer on that particular event. So the Sheriff's Department has been just magnificent in making this project happen. Without a distribution point, we would have really been in trouble. And so on behalf of the Centennial Rotary Club, we'd like to present the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office plaque in recognition of your special contribution 2017 Christmas tree giveaway. You have helped brighten the holidays for many families of Centennial Rotary Club. So, who would like to take this? Sergeant, thank you. You're the man, thank you. Mark, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your help. Thank you. Good job, Mr. Hope.
Thanks to the committee, too.
Yeah, they put a lot of hours in, and he was a little bit of a harsh taskmaster, but he got everything done. So very, very nice. Catherine Henshin, I think you want to talk about State of the City recap.
So I actually have 2 recognitions. Again, our State of the City, and we'll talk about the numbers here in a second, was the most successful we've had yet. I'm very excited about it. But as I said last week, sponsors are the critical piece to making this work. And I have a sincere thank you to Samurai. We were coming into the end of selling out tables, and it's almost daily. I was like, oh, do we have room? Because somebody else emailed me, and I've got this person, and can I sell this table? And she really did an awesome job, and I'm excited for what she can do next year, because she actually took the time to really understand black tie, went through the training, and you could hear through the phone the wheels spinning on her head of what we could do to better... what we could do next year to better leverage black tie to help support our event. So I just want to say thank you very, very much. And a little gift card for you. And last but certainly not least is the critical person for all of this to be successful. How many of you guys like the new layout this year? Yeah, there's one person who's not going to raise his hand, and that's the person that had to make it happen. I don't know, he's behind the scenes, he's always quiet, but he makes sure, he's one of the most amazing diplomats in trying to negotiate between the hotel and the mayor's office and sponsors to make sure all of this goes well. John's been doing the table layout for years. And a big part of why we get repeat sponsors and why they continue to pay the money that they do for the sponsorship is because John works very hard to make sure that they have a great experience, managing not only how do you shoehorn them into awkward places so that they feel like they can enjoy their meal, which takes an engineer brain. He does a lot of work to look at making sure they can see the screen, but then all the politics of proximity to the mayor, which is very critical. And it goes all the way up until an hour before the event where the mayor's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, I want this. And here's John with his smile, making it happen. It's a lot of hours, and I really did want to put a shout out to John because it's the most critical piece, and it's the job that works. He works really, really hard to make it happen. So just want to say sincere thank you to John. And I figured after this year you needed a drink. Last but not least, we got the final numbers. And last year we had a bump over the previous year. This year we made $5,200 more than we did last year. And for those of you who sit on the foundation board, that's a project. So this is a great event for us. I'm excited about the way the new mayor, how she's infused some energy into it. So for all of us, as we think about what we can spend money on, basically this year's State of the City gave us a new project. So congratulations. The final number, sorry, I have that. The final profits were $29,848 and 93 cents for an over of last year by 50, because last year we did 24,553, so that's an increase of 52.95.
Very nice. Mr. Eunice, you are well positioned for your year now. To kind of carry on talking about John McCarty a little bit, because I really like embarrassing him because he's actually a very humble man. After all these changes hit him just before the event was to start, he got everything done and then he kind of disappeared, and I found him sitting by this back bar here staring longingly at the line of rum on the back. But he didn't jump in, he just drank ice water, but it was pretty impressive how he handled it, because there were literally changes up until people were walking in the door. So he did a heck of a job. So next up, Judy Beggs, visiting Rotarian. Grab a mic, or Ken, maybe if you know her, introduce her.
This is Judy Beggs. Don't hold it against her. She is a former lawyer. And she belongs to the Inglewood Rotary Club. And I ran into her at, I think, the Littleton Rotary Club mixer. And we talked a little bit about her project in Africa. And she is here to talk about it as well.
So hi, you guys. I'm just so pleased to be here. And I'm pleased also you've given me just a few minutes. I'm recruiting. The project that we have that Ken's referring to is girls' education in Senegal. And no, I think I'm going to do it this way. We have been doing this girls' education project since 2005. In 2009, Rotary found me and found the project and invited me to join Rotary, and I felt like it was such a homecoming. Every year, we give the poorest girls in this town called Gayoul, we give them $100 to stay in school. And you guys, it's been working. I'm telling you this just to give you background, because I'm building up to asking you to come with us. We keep these girls in school. We've kept most of them in school, and it's remarkable records. Then we've had Rotary help every year with this educational project. But this year, we had a surprising thing happen. One of the members of Inglewood Rotary is Bob Burdick, who was the editor of the Rocky Mountain News. And as such, he belongs to an organization called the Society for Professional Journalists. He, a month and a half ago, decided that perhaps the Society would like to give us a grant to create an e-newspaper in Gayoul. So what this means is the high school girls that we give scholarships to are going to have an opportunity this summer to work on the skills in English to write journalistically and to create a e-newspaper using a program that American high schools use. And so we have to teach them the skills of figuring out what they want to write about, the skill of inquiry, the skill of writing once they've gathered some information about things. And this is a new way of thinking to these kids who've been educated by rote. The reason I'm talking to you about this is this has come up so suddenly. We need some help. We need some help to come with us and to teach journalism skills, writing skills. Yet, as it's not that we're looking for someone with a background in actual journalism. We're looking for people who have a command of the English language and can help us train these girls and get things written and published. Now, I'm hoping you'll think about this and you'll listen to this not only for yourself, you may want to consider this, but within your world, because we've got to find some help for this kind of quick, because we're going out there on July 24th. Now, I've got some things I want to have available for you to see. And the first thing is a little write-up that we threw together called A Charming Trip You Could Never Find Through a Travel Agency. In Gayoul, this is 4 hours from Dakar, and if you've ever traveled in third world countries, in capitals, it's crazy. Gayoul is 4 hours away, and it's peaceful, and it's sweet, and it's authentic. They love us because we've been out there since 2005. We have comfortable living quarters. We have the food. Wolof is their ethnic group. The Wolof food is delicious. Americans always love it. So we have a crowd that we're putting together that are also working on the ESL component. This is our third year to work on an ESL summer school. So we're looking for ESL people as well. But the thing that's made this urgent is this new money, which just showed up unexpectedly, and we need you. And you will measure your own skills and see if you think you can help us train these girls to these skills. It's a lot of fun out there, and it's delicious. So I didn't tell you that much about Friends of Gayoul, which has just been funded by Rotary for 10 years. I've got some stuff to show you. Here's a thing on Friends of Gayoul. I've got some pictures of the cutest kids ever that we give the scholarships to, and the quarter page for you to take and maybe share with your friends. So thanks, you guys. It's been a wonderful, and there's been a lot of announcements today, and I wondered, since I've hogged the microphone maybe last, does that qualify me now for being a president of a club?
Please. All right, Judy, thank you very much. So, I would recommend probably on this back table here so they can grab them on the way out. Catherine, so can you fit a trip to Africa in with everything else you're doing over the next 2 months, you think?
Sure, come on in.
Okay, just checking. Mr. Pote.
A friend of mine and a fellow Rotarian from the Southeast Rotary Club, some of you may recognize, Derek Handley was the owner of Water to Wine, where we did one of our social mixers. So Derek just walked in. We're going to chat a little bit afterwards. But
all right. Derek, thanks. Another visiting Rotarian. Are you looking to jump ship? Mr. Holzman, would you rise and approach the bench, please?
Yeah.
So Randy was bragging a little bit about his year, about how they inducted at least one new member a month. We've actually done the same, if not better. We missed 1 month, but we had months where we had a whole bunch. So, no, not competitive at all.
I thought I was talking about the membership chair as opposed to the president.
Oh, well, we didn't lose any money.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm just going to stop right there. Okay. Fellow Rotarians, it is the duty of our Rotary Club to add new members from time to time so that we may not only increase our usefulness and influence as a club, but also to extend the spirit of Rotary throughout the community. Today, I welcome to our ranks and admit to membership John Holzman. Rotarian Holzman, you have been elected to membership in this club because your fellow members believe you to be a worthy representative of your calling and also to possess qualities that will permit you to exemplify the true spirit of Rotary in your public, business, social, and private life. I wish to impress upon you that you have been admitted not only to the Rotary Club of Centennial, but also to a worldwide association, and by virtue of your membership in this club, you will be welcomed into fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. And there's a lot of people here that have been at Rotary Clubs all over the world. The honor and privilege of your Rotary membership carries with it duties and obligations. You will be expected to attend the club's meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club in its task of carrying the principles of Rotary into the daily life of the community. I ask all members to rise. Rotarian John Holzman, in the name of the Rotary Club of Centennial, I now formally admit you to membership in this club and affix to your lapel our emblem, which I'll do in a second. Fellow Rotarians, I commend to you our newest member, Rotarian John Holzman, and charge all of you to welcome him. Congratulations. We have here your membership kit, which has information about Rotary, including your membership certificate. Hold on to that. And also a lapel pin. So the interesting thing about a Rotary pin, the more you wear it, the more there is a chance that you'll run into somebody in the world who is also a Rotarian. I know of at least one case. Was it you that got to go to the golf course in England?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a golfer, the best makeup in the world, I'll tell you.
Yeah. So I don't know where you want to put it, but here is your, you want to do it on that one? Okay. All right, let me stick it through there. You do love your bright colors. I like that about you. Congratulations. Now we will get a mentor assigned to you shortly, and they'll help you through the blue badge, red badge process so you can learn a little bit more about Rotary in the club. All right, thanks, John. Very nice. Moving right along, Mr. McCarty. Oh, do we have travel gifts? Yes. Anybody have travel gifts? Yes. Oops, sorry.
Oh, I have travel gifts.
Yes.
I spent the weekend in Estes Park. It was our outbound orientation weekend for our 19 kids who are going around the world this year, all probably leaving sometime in August. So it was a really great weekend. One of our kids is Quinn Fellows, and he's going to be coming and visiting us this summer before he leaves for Austria. So my travel gift from the YMCA camp gift shop is a hickory walking stick. And I hope someone bids highly on this at our auction.
Very good. Very nice. Any other travel gifts? Jessica Reagan.
Yeah, I actually went somewhere. It's exciting. But I have to thank Mark because I actually went to Monticello as well. But I could not have described it the way he did, so I appreciate that. Started in Ohio with my grandma's 86th birthday, which was awesome. And then my mom and I went to D.C., which was my first time in D.C. So that was cool because we were there just after some of the cherry blossoms had bloomed. So I joined the Coaster Club and brought back some postcards. But Monticello was, there are no words other than what he said. But literally it was one of the most surreal experiences I've ever been through. And while he had a very dark and light side to his life, two different worlds, you can't deny what he did for our country. So I did bring back a little Declaration of Independence with an inkwell and a quill, because you got to remember the good and the bad of the past. So.
Very nice. Dr. Mark.
Well, you know I have socks here, Jefferson and Hamilton socks, but I'm also upping the ante by adding some serious coin.
Any other travel gifts?
As a University of Virginia graduate, I just want to correct you guys. It's pronounced Monticello. I'm just kidding.
I'm taking back more and more that you were sitting at the well-behaved table. You give them an inch and they take off. Mr. McCarty, would you like to do Happy Bucks?
Okay, we're going to do Happy Bucks. So I'm going to stand back here while you all open your purses and your wallets. And then I am going to start at this table up here because it's going to take me a while to walk there because I sprained my ankle. That's not what my Happy Buck is for. My Happy Buck is because I'm going to miss Rotary next week while I visit my grandson who turns 9 years old. So have a Happy Buck for my grandson and his birthday. Ken.
I have a happy dollar for our Christmas tree donors. We couldn't have done it without you.
I just want to have a happy buck because we've got such a room full of guests today, and it always makes me happy.
A happy buck for the Christmas tree donors and a happy buck for our student of the month, even though she's not here to hear me say I'm happy.
I have a happy buck for Catherine. Catherine, I was on your committee a year before last when we made the 24, almost 25,000. So you bested your best. Thank you very much.
Just happy.
Yeah, I have 5. No, that's 5. Congrats to the state of cities that I couldn't contribute that much, but I really appreciate all the effort that everyone put into, and then all the projects and all the guests, and it also, I missed a couple weeks. I think probably more than a couple weeks, but I'll have more to miss next month because the busy month of May, the graduations, and I have both kids graduating in the same weekend, one in DC, one here. And then after that, we're all heading to China for several weeks of vacation. So that's.
Huh? I do. I got change. Here, take that.
I just want to say I'm so happy I get to tear down today. Thank you.
Phil.
I'd like to recognize Catherine because without her leadership, I don't think the state of the city would have been as great as it is. And thank you, Catherine, for all the work you did.
I got IOUs. Talk first and then IOU later.
Welcome to John. And we're going to get you schooled for classification talk soon. And their student left, but I want to say to Ken Hope, you led that Christmas project, and a big thank you for all you did in putting that together. It was a whole lot of fun, and glad you were at the helm. And it's nice to have Randy Pote back. I sat at a table that they had no clue who he was, and I wasn't even a Rotarian, but yeah, it's nice to have Randy back.
So I have 5 happy bucks. One, we had Eric and I were in Atlanta celebrating his brother's 50th birthday, and they had the most amazing 90s rock band. And the over-under on when the neighbor was going to call the cops on us, we had a bet, and everybody lost because the sheriff showed up in the living room. And the reason he came over is that it was so loud he couldn't get his paperwork done. But it was at the end of the night, and he said, "Tell Polly, happy birthday," and he peaced out and got his paperwork done, and we had a great time. So Ajo made friends. She was smart. She made friends with the local sheriff office, and it was all good. The other of my happy bucks is that tomorrow Eric signs on our house. Because we're not married, I don't qualify for the VA, so all the responsibility of the mortgage is on him. Just kidding. I know. I get all the benefit. No, just kidding. But we're really excited. And after I was driving to Rotary, once again, up Bellevue, struggling. I'm super excited that I'm at Chambers and C470 and I can hop over and I don't have to deal with Bellevue traffic here soon. So yay.
I have a happy dollar, happy to be here, and happy to see everybody recognized, especially the officers that helped us out during the Christmas tree.
I just put in 20 because it was I take that as a symbol because that was the only cash that I had in my wallet this morning, and when I was introduced here, I listened to those words and I thought, wow, what have I signed up for? I feel a great responsibility but a privilege to be part of this group, and thank you.
You know you're John 5. Well, if it's Tuesday, it must be Rotary. And it's an honor to be at any Rotary meeting when a new member is inducted, and I'm glad I was here today for yours.
I got two. One is for my trip that I went on. I spent about a week and a half within 4 feet of my mother the whole time, and it was so cool to have that quality time at this point in my life. And then the second one is because I just booked my second trip. It's completely done, and my road trip through the Gulf Coast, and I've never seen the ocean as a grown adult and like been on a beach, so I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
So I have $1 for Doug Hanna, Karen Fleck, and Paul Fritzler, who donated their time to the food drive this weekend. We collected about $1,000 worth of food and then $84 in cash. So I just want to say thank you to all of them that participated and gave their time.
I have 4. Randy Pote. So great to see you, my partner in crime. I remember those days. Fantastic. Student of the Month was phenomenal. What an impressive young lady. All the guests that are here today, thank you for coming. And the Elks Club awarded my daughter the Outstanding Student Award, and it comes with a $1,000 scholarship. So we're really excited about that.
Coming a long way.
Yes, I just have a happy buck to welcome Jose here. It's so good to have him, and he is. I'm sorry, what? No, I said Jose. So he is just such a joy at the library district. Not only is he an expert in everything that he does with regard to facilities and security and making sure that our staff and patrons are safe, he has a heart of gold. And as you all experience with the Christmas Tree Project, he just has a heart to serve, and he's always willing to help. And he's a lot of fun, too. So thank you, Jose, for being here. Definitely potential Rotary.
I think so.
I guess I can pay you.
Yeah.
That's.
Did I miss anybody? Get your own.
Yep, got my own. I've got 5. First, Catherine Henschen, outstanding job as State of the City. You rocked, as well as your entire committee. John Holzman, thank you for joining up with this merry little band of misfits. Don't get freaked out by the words we read, because yes, we do all this, but we sure have a lot of fun while we do it. So it's always in good humor as we go out and serve the community and internationally as well. Mr. Pote, thanks for visiting. I'm so happy you were finally able to make it to one of my meetings. I was a little worried. Now, what are you coming out on the 30th for? I hope it's not for changing to the guard, because we changed the date to the 23rd.
What's happening on the 30th?
Oh, gee. If you can't bring any firearms with you, I can loan you one to make sure that she doesn't run away. So we can do that.
I've had her in my thumb for years, so I don't think I'll need it.
All right, good. And then the rest for all of you. This is a great club. And with that, Ms. Fleck, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Make it quick.
Okay. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, so I've heard some pretty great classification talks up here. Interesting, great speakers, and lots of achievement. And I think maybe some of you have set the bar a little too high for some of us. So I just want to lower that a little bit. So we're going to start with where I'm from, which is kind of a secret because when I tell people where I'm from, they say, where? Where is that? So where I'm from, if I know how to work this, is up here in the very northeastern corner of the state, a place called Sedgwick County, and it's bordered on the north and the east by Nebraska. And actually, I think this is the one I need to do. And so Sedgwick County, am I doing the right one here? Is this the one I do? Okay, sorry. Where do I point it?
There you go.
There we go. Oh, okay. All right, so here it is. Sedgwick County consists of 3 small towns, population 2,400 maybe, and the way you get there is up I-76, and right before you leave the state, you go through Julesburg. Most people have heard about Julesburg because it's always on the weather map, always. So pretty small town. Let me do this one. But I am from the smallest of those towns, and it's called Sedgwick. And yeah, exactly. Where? So Sedgwick is tiny, has a population now, they say, of 150 people, but I think that includes the dogs and the cats, so. But here are some fun facts about this place. It's named for Fort Sedgwick, which was named after John Sedgwick, who was a major general in the Union Army. It was the home to Cheyenne, Sioux, Pawnee, and Arapaho Indians. Sedgwick County was on the path for pioneers heading west for gold on the Overland Stage Route, the Oregon Trail, the Mormon Trail, the Bozeman Trail, Western Union Telegraph, and Julesburg was the only Pony Express station in Colorado. And then along came the Union Pacific Railroad in about 1867, and Julesburg became an end-of-track town, which, if you know anything about building the railroad, it means it was a crazy place. Lots of gambling, drinking, prostitution, killing in the streets, and Julesburg became known as the wickedest city in the West, which is laughable if you were to go there now, because it is probably the the sleepiest town in the West, I would say. Both of my parents, wrong direction. Both of my parents grew up around Sedgwick in the poorest of the poor families. My mother's family, my mother saw her mother burned to death at the age of 6, leaving my grandfather with 9 little motherless children. And this picture was taken on the day of their mother's funeral, and that was the day he gave them all away. So he split his entire family up, gave the kids to basically strangers. Might have been relatives, but they were strangers to the kids. So it was kind of a tragic situation. Actually, I have another. Oh, let's see. Where's the little pointer? Right there. And here they all are. Like 10 years later, they came back together, took a decent picture, I guess, but they each had a tragic story of what happened to them in the intervening years. My dad's story was even more tragic. His father died at the age of 25 of tuberculosis, leaving my grandmother with 3 tiny little children. This is in the Depression. She had absolutely no means of supporting them. So they were desperately poor. And when you're poor and you live in Sedgwick, you're going to stay poor. There is nothing that is going to make you, get out of poverty, really, unless you're a farmer. Farmers actually are the ones that had the ability to get out of poverty a little bit. What? The grandfather. My grandfather was in that picture. He was in the middle. Okay, so in the beginning, my dad was a farmer, but he wasn't a good businessman, so he lost his farm, and he had to go to work for the sugar factory in Ovid. And at one time, there was like 17 sugar factories in the state, and most of them were in the Front Range and on the Eastern Plains. This is the sugar factory, the only one that's left, and this one is located in Fort Morgan, and you drive right past that when you go up to Julesburg. So, and this is actually the one where my mother and my stepdad retired from, because they worked here many years. I even worked a year here myself. We were poor. We didn't have indoor bathroom until I was 10. We didn't have a TV until I was 10. We never went anywhere. We never had a family vacation. The only family vacation I ever went on was my girlfriend's family vacation, because her dad was the postmaster, and that was the best gig in town. So they had money, and they could afford to take me. So, but both my parents worked very hard, trying to piece together a living. My dad worked at the sugar factory. He made probably minimum wage. I don't even remember. My mom worked in the beet fields from the time she was little and until she was a mother herself. And I remember going to the beet fields with my mother, working alongside the migrant workers. So they worked very, very hard. And my brother and I, my older brother and I, we started working when we were 12 or 13 because we wanted to participate in school activities and, get school clothes and stuff. So we had to work, but we never had to work hard like our parents did. They worked so hard. And we had, in Colorado, it's very, in the rural areas, really it's difficult to get a good education. It's difficult to get good health care because there's sort of a divide, their resources just don't go to the rural areas. So, in fact, when I was growing up in Sedgwick, we had 2 doctors in the county, and today I'm told that they have no doctors, and they have to import a doctor in from another county, a couple days a week. And I'm thinking, what do you do if you get sick and it's not the right day? So it's pretty typical though of the whole divide that we have between the haves and the have-nots in the rural areas versus the metro areas. Nobody stays out there because there's really nothing out there for you. So I had some good teachers, I think, pretty good teachers. They encouraged me to go to college. I was a good student. But, of course, my parents didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. So, and they were getting a divorce at the time that I was graduating from high school. So, college was out of the question. And pretty much college was only for the farmers' kids. And most of the kids that lived in town did not go to college. But after graduation, I didn't go to college. I escaped to the city, which is pretty much what everybody does. That doesn't stay in farm, and got my first job at an insurance company downtown called Farm Bureau Insurance. And sort of when insurance gets a hold of you, it never really lets you go. I mean, almost my entire career has been in insurance. I went through several companies actually, and I really was trying to better myself. Without an education, it's really hard to get a really good job and advance and promote. So I decided that I was going to take night classes. I thought, I'm going to get a degree. And so I took some classes at Metro and UCD. And I figured, well, if it takes me 10 years to get an education, it takes me 10 years. But I got antsy. I didn't want to wait 10 years to get an education. So one day I decided I'm just going to apply at DU and UCD and see if I can get in like a full-time normal student. And lo and behold, DU accepted me, and they actually wanted me because they have all kinds of money, or they did then, I don't know if they still do, and they were willing to, take a chance on a 32-year-old freshman. So I got my foot in the door at DU, and they offered me a scholarship for going into an honors and research program. So I got the free ride scholarship at DU and a good education. And it was probably the best experience of my life. And I'm so grateful to DU for all they did for me, because it's not just career-wise, but just in terms of growth, personal growth, and just feeling good about yourself. And they did a lot for me, I have to say. So after DU, I went to work at Cigna, which is where I work now. That was 29 years ago. And I started, I had many career changes while I was at Cigna. I worked in administration, case install, pharmacy, COBRA, underwriting, state surcharge. People at Cigna don't even know what state surcharge is, but I do. But the last many years I've worked for, in our ID card program, which it's pretty amazing that the little ID card that you hand to your doctor or your pharmacist, is kind of like a free-form thing. It's like there's no standardization to it other than the pharmacy information that's printed on there. But it's kind of a free-for-all, and everybody wants a piece of that document. So that's where I've been working, and we're making sure that we're compliant with all the state regs, because every state wants their information in their font, in their color, whatever. They want to put that on an ID card. So that's been sort of the challenge, and I work with our ID card vendor, making sure that our cards are go out there correctly and on time. Let's see if I can do this. Well, it's funny, when I started at Cigna 29 years ago, I half-jokingly vowed that I was going to retire from this place because, I'd been through so many jobs, and even during my DU years, I had to support myself. So I was tired of bouncing around, and I really wanted to establish myself someplace and stay there. And lo and behold, 29 years later, I'm going to retire. July 1st, I'm up for retirement, so yay! And one of the things I was going to do in retirement was spend more time with my mom, because I don't have a husband, I don't have kids, I don't have grandkids, I don't have a pet, I don't even have houseplants, hardly. But I still had my parents. And up until a month ago, my mother passed away. This beautiful lady, she was almost 88. And she was the last survivor of those 9 pitiful kids. And so she was so strong, she was truly resilient, but she could not overcome COPD because she smoked her entire life. And I do still have my dad. This is Gramps, and he is alive, and he's working on 94 years old. And he is one of the few remaining members of the greatest generation. He's proud of his service in the Navy, and he was stationed on the USS Iowa in the South Pacific. And he was in Tokyo Bay on September 2nd, 1945, when the treaty was signed with the Japanese, ending World War II. So, and he said that they had to stand at attention a very long time. They had 3 ships in the harbor, the USS Iowa, the Missouri, and the New Jersey, maybe, I'm not sure. And he said, we stood at attention a long time, and those dignitaries came out to do the signing, and we had our guns trained on them, so there wouldn't be no funny business. So he's a tough character. You can tell that by looking at him. He is like the definition of curmudgeon. And those are...
He'd fit right in with this bunch.
Those are his little great-granddaughters dancing around, and he doesn't even crack a smile. He's crusty, and he's cantankerous. He worked until he was 80, and he had a motel, and he worked until he and my stepmother until he was 80. He never missed a day of work in his life. He's never been in a hospital in his life, and he's never taken a prescription drug in his life. He is the toughest guy you will ever meet. And both my brothers were in the Navy too, so veterans are a group that's near and dear to my heart. So I don't have military service, but I did join the American Legion Auxiliary on my family's service so that I have a connection to the military. Whoops, wrong direction. So I feel so lucky to live in Colorado because I love to do the outdoor things. I love to go camping and hiking and skiing. And I've been camping with the Berries a few times, more than a few times probably. And I've been hiking with them. And although I didn't get to hike with you this weekend, sometime if you get a chance, you could ask John or Karen about the last time we hiked together. And all I can say is that
she doesn't remember it.
All I can say is that they were my guardian angels that day, and I was really glad I was with them. That might be a conversation for the Primetimers happy hour or something. But there's a story. I can't tell the story because I don't remember it. That's nothing, basically. Oh, but that's wine. And I do like wine. Karen and I like to imbibe a little bit. We taste and sample. And for a while we were making homemade wine, which was really fun. But now we just satisfy ourselves with sampling as much wine as we possibly can. And so why Rotary? So about 5 years ago, I was seriously thinking about retirement. And one of the things you have to ask yourself before you retire is, what am I retiring to? And so I've been working on that question for about 5 years. And then last fall, Karen invited me to the guest day here with the Centennial Rotary. And I met all of you great people. And I was like, wow, this is a pretty impressive group. And not only the people are impressive, but all of the programs and the volunteer things that you do is darn impressive. So I was like, I can't miss an opportunity to do this. And so in my retirement, hopefully I will be spending more time doing some of the volunteer things. So I know you're out of time and you want to go, so we're done.
I will share the story with you at some point about that hike. It's too long and we're out of time. But Karen Fleck, you get to draw numbers for a blue marble drawing, yeah.
I raised a lot of money without a gun.
Sure. You can stir the pot. Last three digits are
037.
Oh, so close.
That's 6812037.
That's the one.
Just so you know, Randy bought 12 tickets.
First thing I asked, I had to cut a check, and I said, "It's a Blonde, he's still in the club."
If you win, you put this into the Rose Bowl fund.
Okay, there are 28 clear marbles, one black marble or blue or whatever color it is.
Bluish.
And Barbara tells me we're right at $1,200.
You really should not be concerned. This game came to your club from the North Las Vegas club. The pot was $2,400. We're 2 clear and 1 blue, and I drew 2 clear. Not that I am bitter anymore.
Keep it up, Randy.
Pardon me?
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Keep it up.
Yeah, don't spoil your record, Randy.
1 clear. 2
2 clear. Pot rolls over.
Good job.
Why don't you put that towards your Christmas tree or your literacy project?
We will do that. We'll kick it in. I'll give it to Ms. Medina. So quick reminder, I mentioned it a little bit ago, changing of the guard, we looked at the dates, and we are switching from the 30th to the 23rd. Our fear was that that weekend going into 4th of July, that we would lose everyone. In fact, Barb would have been in Europe, and it wouldn't have worked. So, 23rd. So with that, would y'all stand and join me in the 4-way test? For all we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Do good and have fun.